Welcome to Near Falls with D. Hall. He's talking on bars and how they win it all. Yeah, it's just Near Falls with D. Hall. The final takedown, the glory or the fall. So loosen up, step on in, wrestle with the need to win. We're talking Near Falls with D. Hall. Ready or not, he's here to brawl.
What's going on, wrestling fans? Welcome into another edition of Near Falls with D Hall, a wrestling podcast. Today, so excited. This is the best time of year. My favorite project of the year, the 24-25 WPIAL Coaches Preview. So excited to bring this to you guys. I have a bunch of different coaches coming on from across the WPIAL. They're going to come on, talk about their schedule, expectations, up-and-comers, their leaders, their seniors, all that type of stuff. You guys know the drill. This is year 3 or 4 of me doing it. So pumped up to bring it to you guys. I really hope you enjoy it, and just hope you enjoy listening to these guys talk like I did. It was always a blast for me, and this year was no different. So without further ado, welcome in to the WPIAL Coaches Preview.
Welcome to the Near Falls WPIAL Show, where D.R. and Kaz are gonna tell you all the things you wanna know. Whether it's Trinity or Spencer Lee or Mr. Kurt Angle, just ask Vinity, WPIAL, yeah, Ken and Mac for sure. They got the interviews to soothe your soul, because it's Near Falls in the WPIAL.
All right, joining me next on the call, we got not one, not two, but 3 Freedom Bulldog coaches. Man, I'm super pumped up to have all 3 of these boys on. I mean, I have a personal relationship with each one of these boys, so of course I'm so excited. But first things first, my main man, the head coach, Zeke Corral. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Thanks for having us on. Thanks for always giving some love to the Bulldogs.
Absolutely. I'll next go to Pale. How's your golf swing? I mean, I play with you all year. You know, it's off, it's on. I mean, where you at now, buddy?
Getting better. I went to the Dome out in RMU.
Okay.
A couple of days ago. Didn't realize they were closed at 3 on Saturdays, so got there at 3:30. I'm like, I had to turn around and go to Stop and Sock.
Oh, but I've heard Stop and Sock is leveling up.
They stepped their game up big time.
Yeah, baby. That's what I've heard.
That's my good buddy. He bought it.
Now the next question is to Ty. Are you going to be part of the YGL next year? You gonna make an appearance?
I'm definitely thinking about it. I've been getting a lot more into golf because what other better way is there to spend your summer?
Yes, sir.
But,
yes, sir.
I'm in a bunch of leagues up at the course in Elwood, but it would definitely be a good time getting out with you guys every once in a while.
Yes, sir. My man. All right. Well, I guess the first question I have, and I know that, Ty, you've been a big part of it, and Jake, you're coming into it too, but talk to me, guys, about the offseason program. How's it been going for you boys? I know that you guys seem like you're having pretty consistent numbers up in the wrestling room.
Yeah, I mean, Ty got to see some of the competition lately. He's been doing a lot in the fall. But we always try to focus on doing some freestyle. And this was the first year we had guys actually not just practicing, but competing. So I don't know, Ty, what do you think about 10, 12 kids usually in the freestyle room, junior high through high school? And
yeah, we had a pretty good off season. Early on,
awesome.
we had Kurt Phipps come back in the room again for some of our freestyle stuff. And then we get a lot of guys. I mean, being a small school, a lot of guys play multiple sports like football, baseball, track. We have a golfer on the team as well. So we would do late evening practices, and I give the guys credit. They would still show up at like 7:30 at night. And then by the time we're done practicing, you go home and shower. It's time for them to go to bed, but they'd still show up and put in the work all summer. So it was a good off season. Proud of them. Definitely helped because we're going to hit the ground running this year. So.
Pale, where do you fit into this equation? When did you get the phone call, and how did Zeke kind of corral you into helping out?
That's a good question. So this has actually been a long time coming. So I've been coming in during Thanksgiving breaks and stuff like that throughout my college career, and it's always been on the agenda for me to join up with them here. So yeah, long time coming.
Love that.
Listen,
Love that.
he had me scared. We were at Stop and Sock. I go after these guys pretty aggressively. And so I was like, all right, Ty, we got to go hit some golf clubs. I'll buy some food.
Yeah.
We're over there hitting some golf balls. And I brought it up. And he's like, yeah, man, I think I'm going to go wrestle another year. I'm like, no. I mean, I had you penciled in to coach with me this year. So and then he texted me. He's like, yo, man, I'll be there every day of the week. I was like, oh, let's go.
Complete 180. You wine and dine him in the right way. There you go, buddy.
Yeah.
That's the thing about them county boys. They like golfing. That's what I've heard. You know what I mean? They like being out in that nature, golfing and fishing, like you, Zeke. So anything out in the nature, they love it. So, okay, talk to me. Obviously, you guys had a pretty good year last year. You guys are making strides. The stepping stones are coming really quickly for you guys after kind of taking over a program. And we're talking about freedom, and it's a pretty historic program. Of course, Jake, you wrestled on the the WPIAL level teams, and Zeke, you've won 100 matches for them and your career. And but talk to me about those guys that you're going to be leaning on, kind of the next wave of leaders, of senior leadership that you guys have.
I'll kind of talk in general and then let you guys maybe single some guys out if that's cool. That the leadership, I think, something that we're really focusing on early this year. Just trying to get one, like, I remember Pale in there and Cody Kamara, right? And these guys, and, the guys followed them. And that's what we need. We need someone that everyone's going to follow and in all the right ways. We've had bits and pieces, I'm sure Ty would agree over the last couple of years, some guys did some really nice things, but we didn't have that dude that just got everyone corralled on every level. And we kind of realized that last year. Something I did at Seneca in junior highs, we did a leadership study, actually. We read a book and we met 6 weeks and discussed all the different qualities of a leader. We actually brought that in last year. And so I'm hoping that this year it pays off. And when we see some of those kids, and I'm sure maybe Tyler or Jake will talk about some of those kids from that small group, man, they really are stepping up this year. I feel like they're coming into their own. Especially I think we have like 8 or 10 sophomores. So, coming out of freshman year and getting some training with that and then feeling empowered, I think, some of the guys I'll talk about really are taking some strides.
Give me some names, Tyler.
Well, I mean, like Zeke said, we got a really solid group of sophomores, but I think the guy that's going to make a name for himself is our senior leader, Gavin McCrae. He's been in the room all summer, working more this offseason than he has in the past. And I know he hasn't reached his goals in the past, but he and I have these conversations all the time about what it's going to take for him to get there. And I think he's locked in right now and he wants nothing else but that. So
how do you get that guy, or how do you make him believe that, even though he has not achieved those dreams yet, how do you make him believe that he can get to that next step?
I think it's mental aspect's one of the biggest things. And whether a kid believes in himself or not can make or break him. And I think just in the past, he's had some losses that he wasn't happy with, but we've talked about the good moments, the matches he's won, the good moments he's had in those matches, and just how he's been able to overcome adversity to get to where he has, not focusing on what he hasn't done.
Yeah, no doubt. And, that's a guy that, as I watched last year, he's one of those guys that he can be easily one of those state level guys if he puts it all together at the end of the year. Jake Pell, you got another name for me that we should look out for?
Got a couple young studs, freshman
sir.
that catches my eyes, Rue Shearing. He shows the attention to detail, and you can tell he wants to get better, he cares. So, we get a lot of young guys like that with that mindset, then we'll be moving in the right direction.
Good. I'm glad you brought him up because my cousin texted me. He said, make sure you bring up Rue. He's my dog. So I was like, all right, there we go.
Yeah.
So there we go. Okay. Zeke, talk to me about the schedule. A guy, you guys, you have guys all over the place. You have a young group of sophomores that are trying to take levels. You have a senior that's trying to make the state tournament. How do you get these guys ready for the end of the year?
Yeah, kind of I don't want to say we got snubbed last year, we felt, whenever it came to WPIAL seeding. But we were undefeated going into that. And we got a worse seed than we did the year before when we were 10 and 11. And the comment was we wrestled nobody but Beaver County schools and Laurel, who's a pretty decent team. And so we had a lot of conversations about that. and ultimately we wrestled McGuffin. We didn't deserve it. We did not wrestle good in that match. But we talked about it and we said, you know what, with the realignment of the sections, we need to go after teams that we think are playoff teams, that we think are potentially gonna push to win, and we're either gonna know where we're at or not. Like, we're gonna either deserve what they give us, or we're gonna make it impossible to not get some respect. So, with the shrinking sections, we replaced, some of our matches. We went on, we got Beth Center, and they're always solid, always have some really good wrestlers. And we went on and got Mount Pleasant, who was 4th place last year, and so we said, let's figure out who we are really early. And we added another dual tournament out in the middle of the state just to give us a different look, some of those gritty kids out in the mountains. I think that's just a way of us, looking ourselves in the mirror and realizing who we are early. And even if it doesn't go our way, just getting a measuring stick to know what we need to do when playoffs do come.
Tyler, you've been along the way pretty much the whole time with Zeke. You've seen the stepping stones, each part of the process. This schedule, as you got, you're talking about, you're trying to build it out. What are you telling these guys as they, they're facing, tougher opponents throughout the year?
I mean, before we went out and got these matches scheduled, Zeke and I talked to the guys that practice on one of our off-season days, and we told them the teams that we were going after, the schedule we were trying to build. We wanted a tougher competition schedule as far as dual matches go, and I just think that only motivated them, and that probably also contributed to the numbers we had throughout the off-season. So I think they're just as excited as we are.
That's good stuff. Okay. Next thing I got, room games. What do you guys get into? Dodgeball, kickball, what do you guys get into over there, Freedom?
So we do a lot. We do play a lot of games. That's something my college coach was really big into, is having fun. So we do 2-man dodgeball a lot. We do some handball. Nice. We do a ton of sprawl ball. But the guys have been begging. This was an old McGuffey game, actually, from Jeff Breeze, if you know Jeff. It was called Human Chess. Man, and it is brutal. And the kids are begging for it, but we had to wait till regular season, because when we were doing our conditioning at junior high kids, I'm like, someone's gonna die, But you pick teams and you line up on each side of the room, and after you say go, you're never allowed to touch your beginning wall again. That's how you're out. So you physically have to drag your opponent to the wall they start on, and then they're eliminated. And it is brutal. I mean, it might be the best conditioning we do all year.
Isn't it wild how, like, you have them run stairs, or have them run this or do that, and they're dogging it through. As soon as you put a little competition on the line against their peers, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, it is crazy.
I love it, man. That's good stuff. Okay, talk to me. Social media. How can I follow you guys? How can I see what you guys are doing throughout the year?
I'm going to go to Pale on this one. He's bringing it back from the dead.
Let's go, JP.
Yeah. So we started an Instagram page my freshman or sophomore year of high school, and I graduated and just never logged back in. And I told Zeke I found the password and I logged back in. So we're gonna keep some of the old posts up. Got some followers already built on the account, and it's at Freedom Wrestling. So yeah, it's good, and we're gonna keep that up to date this year. So we'll stay on top of that and get things rolling.
Good stuff, JP. I love that. And, obviously the kids, they love the social medias these days.
Yeah.
Okay. Last thing I have for you guys. I mean, we've talked about schedule. We've talked about, a bunch of different things. Talk to me about goals and expectations you have for this team, Zeke.
I mean, we're setting the bar high. I believe in my guys always, maybe even when I probably shouldn't, but we believe in our guys, man. And that's the only way we're ever going to win. You got to tell them that you think they can do it. And we do. We said the goal is to be undefeated going in, just like last year, even with the harder schedule. If not, we'll reassess that and we'll just work towards it. But our goal is to win every single day we go out there. And outside of that, though, last year, Tyler and I, we set some goals for the program. We wanted to shave our pin rate. We felt like wrestling in the past few years, man, the grit and that middle's kind of fallen out. And we looked just across the board, everyone in their loss was getting pinned. And we looked, and at that point, we had a nice year 2 years ago. We lost 71% of our losses were by pin. And that's a staggering number, and we pinned about the same amount. 70% of our wins were pins. And so we wanted to trim that. And last year we did, I think, 18%. So we want to get under 40% of our losses.
So you went from 70 to 18.
No, we trimmed 18% last year.
Okay.
That would be amazing.
I would say that's still fantastic. You're getting down there. That's good.
Yeah, that grit, that was one. We set a goal of 5 kids making regionals. And I do think that sophomore class, man, just some guys we haven't even mentioned. Caden Braun, I think at 107 has a fantastic year. I mean, he was blood run last year, barely cracking 100 pounds by the end of the season. Braden Reynolds is on fire right now. Caden Millward, he was just competing in a brutal tournament. Zay Sean had a down year after 20-some wins as a freshman. And we got a chippy kid, Thomas Henry, just started a couple years ago from Rochester, that I think, man, he's going to have a little battle. We got some guys clogged up right now, but if he can get,
so you guys are co-oping with Rochester again this year?
Yep.
Good.
We got
Nice.
3 kids from there. But yeah, so we want to get 5 guys to regionals. We said we wanted to move up again from last year. We want to be top 6 in the WPIAL, we said. We said just depth, man, just building some depth. We said at least 16 kids at the end of the year, stick it out,
Yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely moving in the right direction. Of course, a program that, has history, but it's one of those things that, it's family. You got to get the families to cycle through and the next group to come do their thing. But you guys are certainly moving in the right direction. Do you guys have anything else for me before I leave you go?
I'll just shout out. I know you put in there anyone you want to shout out. I'll shout out my staff, man. Super thankful for you guys. Coach Yetzik, Coach Egged not on here, and Coach Phipps. I mean, having you in all summer is awesome. And then, Coach Slack retiring, man, that has a special spot for me. He took me my first year at Seneca. We actually beat them at Canamac in junior high,
Right.
But he came up and, man, from that moment on, just took me under his wing and just, leads by example. He's a mentor. He really, really empowered me to, just be who I am, show some of my beliefs. So just a little shout out to Coach Slack. Wrestling world's going to miss you this year. I don't know if you guys have anybody.
I think this guy on the top screen right here definitely needs a shout out, Zeke Stroop.
Yeah, baby, give him one. He needs it.
He's a humble guy, does a lot behind the scenes, like even off the wrestling mat, being involved in our boosters and whatnot, putting events on for our guys just to hang out and team build and stuff like that, which nobody ever sees, but takes a lot of work, takes a lot of time out of his day. So more than just myself and Jake Pale are definitely thankful for Zeke and glad for everything he does for us.
I will say, being around the Freedom area and around the program when Zeke was named the head coach, I think it was a unanimous hell yeah. So he's a Freedom guy, and he's through and through, and one of those guys that will give more to the program that it ever needs. So good stuff, man. Zeke, you're my boy. JP, get that golf swing. Keep it working on that. You got a long way to go to get to me, my friend. But
I know.
Either way, boys, I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me.
Yep. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, DL.